The instant I saw young Ethan tearing down Maple Lane, his sneakers pounding the pavement like he was fleeing a wildfire, shrieking about snakes, I knew disaster had struck. Ethan wasn't one for theatrics once. He'd brushed off a wasp sting like it was nothing, but now he was howling as if the apocalypse had landed, pointing at my backyard shed like it had spat out a demon. I dropped my grocery bags, apples rolling into the gutter, and sprinted toward the shed. The door hung wide open, a glaring violation of the lock I'd installed to protect what was inside. As I neared, I nearly tripped over a pile of unfamiliar plastic bins stacked haphazardly outside. Then I saw her, Lydia, the self-appointed queen of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, clipboard in hand, smugly informing two board members that my shed was now community storage. My blood ran cold. Behind her, one of my albino corn snakes slithered lazily across a shelf in the incubator rack, while another vanished beneath a box marked holiday lights. It was like watching a horror movie where the clueless villain opens the forbidden vault. I didn't need to scream. You've unleashed chaos, because chaos screamed for itself. A snake peeked out from a tinsel-strewn wreath, and one of the board members let out a yelp that could have shattered glass. Lydia waved it off, scoffing. It's fake, probably a Halloween prank. Then the other board members spotted a garter snake coiling up her clipboard and bolted, screaming. Lydia's composure cracked as she shrieked, dropping the clipboard. I stormed forward, snatched it, and hissed through gritted teeth. You broke into a federally licensed reptile research facility. Lydia blinked, flustered, then squared her shoulders. This shed wasn't used, she declared. As HOA president, I have the authority to repurpose idle community structures. I stared, incredulous. What community structure? I built this shed on my own property. She smirked, claiming it was within view of shared spaces, and thus under her control. My hands trembled with a mix of fury and dread, not just because she'd trespassed, not just because she'd dumped dusty wreaths and cracked plastic reindeer inside, but because she disrupted 3 breeding trays of temperature-sensitive eggs, a precision heating system, and 2 enclosures housing mildly venomous research snakes. These weren't deadly, but a stressed snake could bite, causing swelling, dizziness, or worse, a hospital trip. I was supposed to check them every 3 hours. Meanwhile, Lydia was shouting to a gathering crowd about an illegal snake pit in their midst. A teenager started filming. I stepped inside, gently retrieved the garter snake, and secured it in its tank. The incubator's heat had plummeted, threatening an entire clutch. My month-long research was at risk. I turned to Lydia, voice steady but laced with steel. You've just committed felony trespass on a state-sanctioned wildlife conservation site. She scoffed. Prove it. I marched to my house, grabbed my federal licenses, Department of Wildlife agreements, and a survey proving the shed was on my land. I thrust them in her face. She barely glanced before sneering. Snakes aren't allowed under HOA rules. They're pests. I explained they were protected species in an endangered breeding program. She rolled her eyes, muttered about talking to legal, and strutted off, leaving her bins, her clipboard, and my panicked reptiles. That day, I worked tirelessly to restore order. 2 snakes had slipped under heat mat wiring. One began laying eggs prematurely due to the temperature drop. I stabilized the environment, but one hatchling didn't survive the shock. That night, staring at an empty coffee mug, I seethed. My shed wasn't a hobby, it was a state ecological project for snake population recovery, with sensors, filtration, and 2 years of my life. Lydia had stormed in like it was her attic. I hoped to reason with the HOA board, show them the documents, and stop this madness. But the next morning, an email arrived. HOA emergency violation, remove all hazardous animals from shared facilities. Attached was a photo of Lydia posing outside my shed, holding a baby snake like it was a viper, captioned, "Danger in our community shed." Her face wasn't scarred, it was triumphant. This wasn't about rules or snakes. It was about power. And Lydia had just picked a fight with the wrong person. I wasn't just a snake enthusiast. I was Dr. Nathan Cole, lead ecologist for the state's wildlife division, specializing in venomous reptile habitats, with legal contacts and infrared footage of Lydia's break-in. The war was on. The next day, the shed's temperature had dropped 5 degrees from the open door. A sensitive desert king snake grew sluggish, its metabolism disrupted. As I cleaned, voices outside grew loud. Peering through the shed's window, I saw Lydia, now with a tablet and megaphone, flanked by board members Victor and Ellen, both eager to play enforcer. A small crowd watched as Lydia declared the shed a safety and aesthetic violation, subject to inspection. Her nasal voice dripped with self-righteousness. Victor tiptoed inside, jumping at shadows, while Ellen fanned herself dramatically. Lydia spotted me and pointed. "There's the snake hoarder endangering our kids." I stepped forward, voice cutting through the noise. "These are federally protected reptiles for endangered ecosystem restoration, not pets. Not hoarding and not your business." But chaos erupted when Victor tripped over a heat cable, dislodging a hatchling container. 3 baby corn snakes escaped, sparking screams. A woman leapt into a bush. A man spilled his latte and fled. Lydia shouted about animal control and ordered Victor to seal the shed. I knelt, calmly collecting the hatchlings, and announced, "You've disrupted a year's calibrated environment, killed 1 snake, and endangered 3 more. This is biological sabotage." Lydia snapped. "If they're so important, why keep them near families?" I stood tall. "This is one of 5 statewide labs testing human-wildlife coexistence. Your actions are now part of the case study." Her face twitched, but she didn't grasp the weight. Then a twist. A teenager's video of Lydia's first intrusion, her saying, "Just shove the decorations in. It's junk," followed by her scream as a milk snake crossed her foot, went viral on a local forum. Neighbors whispered about her recklessness. As Lydia tried to rally her crowd, a wildlife division truck pulled up. 2 officers stepped out, and Lydia strutted over, claiming I hid venomous snakes. The taller officer grinned. "That's Dr. Cole. He trained us for high-stress relocations." Lydia's jaw dropped. The shorter officer added, "We're here about unlicensed interference with a research city, a serious offense." Showing a boundary map, they confirmed the shed was mine. The crowd shifted, some asking me about the snake's safety. Lydia slunk away, fuming. An officer handed me a card. "File a report if she escalates. It's fast-tracked for wildlife cases." My phone buzzed. A reporter wanted a story on my conservation work. Lydia's sabotage had backfired, amplifying my cause. But she didn't stop. Days later, flyers appeared on every doorstep. Community safety alert, with a photoshopped giant snake outside my shed, claiming bites, a venomous zoo, and state investigations. Neighbors gave me wary looks. One clutched her child. Lydia's emails demanded my shed's removal. She even sabotaged my planned open house to educate the community, scattering dollar store plastic snakes across my lawn to spark panic. I caught her smurf from her porch. My cameras, though, caught her and Victor at midnight, planting the fakes. At the HOA meeting, Lydia waved a rubber snake, claiming it proved an infestation. I played the footage. The room roared with laughter as her face turned crimson. She screamed it was fake, but I countered, "It's time-stamped and stored on a federal server." The HOA president, Henry, suspended her pending investigation. The video hit 50,000 views online, with memes mocking her as Snake Queen. She sent a laughable letter from a lawyer in Comic Sans, accusing me of defamation. My attorney filed a cease and desist and a lawsuit for damages, backed by logs, photos, and vet reports. The Wildlife Division recognized my shed as an official research site, offering funding for upgrades. At court, Lydia's defense crumbled. The judge issued an injunction barring her from my property and ordered damages for sabotage. She stormed out, still defiant. Weeks later, Lydia tried one last stunt, caught on camera with a crowbar near my shed. The security alarm blared, and she tripped, fleeing, landing in mulch as police arrived. Cited for violating the restraining order, she was done. The HOA elected Henry, who rewrote rules to prevent such overreach. My shed became a community education hub, hosting Reptile Awareness Day, with snake-shaped cookies and conservation games. Lydia sold her house at a loss, her power gone, her name a punchline. My shed stood as a symbol of resilience, proving truth and persistence could silence even the loudest bully. What would you do if someone sabotaged your life's work over a power trip? Should HOAs have limits on their authority? Could you forgive someone like Lydia, or is justice sweeter? Share your thoughts, like, and subscribe for more stories of truth prevailing.